Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
Hey, and this is Jack, Chief Lead Generation Officer at salesbread.com. Jeremy is under the weather today, but here and bringing the fire.
That's
I'm
right.
glad you're alive.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Don't die on us, Jeremy, because
I'm all good.
today we're
my tissues.
talking about prioritizing your cold prospects. So let's say you've got a list of 1,000 seemingly identical people that you can contact in order to get those sales conversations started. I think there's a right and a wrong way to order this list, and it's not A to Z. And that's what I want to talk with you, Jeremy, today.
That's great. And I'm just going to play the devil advocate and talk about segmentation. And I know that will piss you off, but hey, that's for the fun of the show. Today, this episode is sponsored by Moderna. This is what helps me still being alive after this weekend.
Okay. Hey, whatever works. I'm glad you're not only feeling okay, you're on the show. You didn't cancel. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's rock and roll, baby. Right. In addition to Moderna, this show is also brought to you by salesbread.com. We bring B2B companies one lead per day, guaranteed. Holy cow. Yes, now we guarantee our work. Check out salesbread.com if you want a pretty darn risk-free lead gen partner.
It's pretty good.
Hit us, Jeremy.
I love it. Yeah, it's a good one. So yeah, we're still QuickMail.io, one of the best cold outreach email automation software on the market. And if you really care about deliverability, give a go to our auto warmer. It's free for many reasons. And yeah, just give it a go.
Boom shakalaka. Let's dive in, Jeremy. So for this conversation, let's pretend that I have a product that is sold to HR managers. God help us, right? But let's just say let's say we do. And let's also make life difficult and say we serve HR managers across a whole lot of different industries, and frankly, anywhere in the US would be great. And I've got my list of HR managers where there's about this list. Let's make it more specific. I got my list of HR managers from companies between 50 and 500 employees, and they're anywhere in the US. All right, let's go for it. Like, start at the top, right?
Oh, well, here's the other thing is that could be a huge list potentially. And you could be limited
like 15,000 names.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you could be limited by, you have a certain bandwidth. You only count on like 10-20% response rate. And so therefore, every day you're not going to go over the number. So which one do we start with is your question, right?
Yeah, like you want to make money this week, or taking into consideration the average sales cycle, you want to have great conversations started this week. You don't want to wait 6 weeks before you actually start getting traction. And I'm suggesting there is a correct way to order your list to stack the deck in your favor.
But the funny thing is that we already discussed of this type of thing in the past, and all we were saying is like find other flags or events or whatever to sort of like downside your list. To just get it, higher quality. Look at, your previous one and find more than just one or two parameters that we're discussing. So that was so far the thing we've been always saying.
Yeah, but there's another layer to this.
All right.
There's another layer to this. And I'm hopefully going to help you out if you are sitting in front of a large market, which on one hand is great. You've got a lot of people that you can reach before burning through your list. On the other hand, there may be some lack of focus on where you should be spending your time right now.
Right.
And let's talk about how I'm going to refine this list so that my first couple of days of activity are going to yield some results, because I am sorting carefully. I'm prioritizing carefully. Even if the list looks pretty much the same. Now, we've talked before about, use intent data to build your list. That way you're going to see, these companies are already searching for our solution. Yeah, that is a way to prioritize it, but I'm not talking about that. I'm saying once you've already got the list in front of you, now how can you figure out the right group to go after first and second and third, right? I think first it was like, can you grab an inbound marketing list to begin with? Wouldn't that be great? But you can't always. This is for the BDR who's sitting in front of a list of more than 1,000 names. The list has already been built, but now what?
Go through it, kind of thing. Like, what's the instruction? And so you need to refine that. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's almost like the hopefully not sales manager, but maybe I could see the founder of the company being like, hey, here's the leads in for the week or the month. We downloaded Zoom info.
That's right.
Here you go. You know,
hey,
start at the
Zoom
top.
info. Yeah,
hammer.
Enough. So now you go through it. All right, it's easy. You know, I'll sort by name. All the Jacks, contact first. They're all great people.
Wow. All right. Hey, great cast, guys. See you now.
Right. Or I'll use my own name.
Let's actually go to it.
And then just do like, no, I'm kidding.
Okay. First, let's do it.
Not good.
I'm going to take a list of my 15,000 and I'm going to say, okay, now remove everybody that does not return a valid email address. That's step one. Oh, well, I have risky. I have maybe other ways. Doesn't matter. Forget everyone for now that does not have a valid email address.
Well, you could not at this stage for sure.
Afford it in terms of losing some.
No. Yeah, exactly. Instead of like, you know, shortening your thing, I don't see why you wouldn't start with a quality one, right? So
there you go.
Good point.
Okay, great. So now we're dealing with only verified. We've removed our risky. We've removed our unknowns. We're even removing people that we have phone numbers for, even mobile numbers for, but no email. I don't care at that stage.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe for another cast, but for now we're dealing with, let's say, 6,000 verified email addresses and the data behind it.
You go from 50 to 6,000. Yeah, actually, that's probably 15. Right. Yeah, that's probably all right. Yeah. Actually, that's
probably lose about 60% of the list. Yeah. Good. Okay, so next I am going to sort by potential deal size.
Okay, but how do you?
Not every client. Good question. So typically there's two things I'm going to look for to estimate my potential deal size per row. Hear me out and then go do this for your own list. But what I would do is look at my house list of paying customers along with pretty much the same data points you see on your prospecting list. You want that for your initial list of paying customers, but you're going to add a nice little handy row that says total deal size. Now, in my experience, you're typically going to see company size correlates to a higher deal size. Maybe you're selling a software and the more salespeople that use it, the more seats they have to buy. It makes sense. Maybe the more revenue the company is generating, the bigger budgets. And it just so happens that they place larger orders with you. Even if you're selling, you know, custom t-shirts for the next conference, you'll sell more to Facebook than you would to a 10-person startup. What I'm saying is there is a correlation between the company size and the potential deal size that you'll want to identify right away.
So
don't waste your
yeah. So what's the difference between just having like categories, like, you know, company between X and X, and, you know, B and C and stuff like that? That also will be the same thing, right?
So company between 11 and 250 employees.
Okay.
Super. Well, your list of 6,000 name now has some with 249 employees and some with 52 employees. They will not return the same number of sales deal size.
No, for sure.
The bigger accounts, again, check this with your own data, but probably the bigger accounts are going to spend more money with you.
But isn't that like what I was mentioning at the beginning, just adding like an extra attribute to your list?
Adding an extra attribute to your list.
Like, you know, generate your list with
another
which is, you know,
potentially, yeah. Is an email address valid? You are technically adding a row. Sounds a little bit like semantics, but what I'm again trying to do is say, all right, great. The founder just dumped 15,000 rows on your desk. It's up to you. You can't go after all of them today or this week or this month. It's up to you to spend your time wisely right now. Okay, so let's narrow it down to the group of say 500 that you got to hit this week because you think this is going to bear the most fruit right now without sifting through garbage in order to get there. That's what I'm saying.
Sense. So I'll be doing something like Clearbit or whatever kind of thing automatically, or maybe on the I don't know.
Yeah, typically if you're sitting with a large list, you're going to have a data provider. There's many, and it doesn't. I'm not so concerned with discussing the right one, but assuming the data is good,
Okay.
this is how you keep slicing until you end up from 15,000 to 500 this week to go after.
Right.
So far with me?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
with you.
cool. Let's take it a step further. So now you've got a list of valid email addresses, and you're starting with larger deals that are going to bear fruit. Again, back it up with data and make sure you can actually sell to these customers. But now you're getting to a point where you've got a list of people that can spend big dollars with you. That's nice. Okay, so let's go further. This time we want to figure out who's very likely to spend big dollars with you. And to do that, I'm going to suggest that you create, it's a company avatar, essentially. You're going to find like use cases, case studies, example companies that you can name drop in a campaign, but you want to make sure that they're super similar to the rows that are on your list now. Okay, so let's say I did a, yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of a clever idea to actually, as you're building use cases or like case studies, you can actually build it for a certain avatar and then split your list like this. And the next week, you're going to build a different case study. And then you go, you can test effectively doing this way.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
I mean, inbound marketers have been doing that with landing pages forever. It's just us doing it with outreach, which why is this important? I think there's two things going on. First, you're going to remove everyone that doesn't look like a great account for you. So it's really nice not to figure who can you sell to, 15,000 HR managers. Okay, great. But you want to also figure out who's typically been your favorite people to work with in terms of deal size. And you can remove people that don't really look like that at this stage.
Yeah.
Right. So if you find that you've, I don't know, had some great partnerships with HR managers that work at tech companies, super, grab a couple of tech companies, and maybe you're lucky enough to have a lot of customers that you can say, let's say tech companies that are in the app world. Like, okay, great. That's super niche. And you probably know that you do very well in this group. And at the very least, it would create a hell of an intriguing message. It's like, hey, it's a standard mini case study. We've done this X for Y, right? And if it's really close to home, if it looks like a fellow HR manager at a similar company, you've got them, right? Assuming the value's there. But that's what I would do next. So now we have valid email addresses of big potential deal companies that are likely to need our stuff, and we'll see a case study that looks a whole lot like them. Thus, now we're starting to get some good firepower. Let's go a little bit further, because now we've probably gone from, what was it, 6,000 to maybe 1,000 rows, maybe.
Okay.
So next, if we
with just 3, and then you just give them a call.
Yeah. So think about the rest of the conversation is gravy. Like, you could stop here and say, I went from 15,000 to 6,000 varied emails to 1,000 that I can do a really good case study. You can stop here and start, and you do a lot better than if you just started with a random one, right?
Right.
But I want to take it a step further, hopefully getting in the couple hundred range. So I would say now we're just cherry picking like really easy conversations. So there's a couple of things. Don't apply all of them. Apply one of the next 3 things I'm going to say. Number 1, can you slice this list into your into companies that are your neighbors, people that are in the same city as you?
Of course, geographically, it's something we're a big fan of.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you're in LA and you've helped all these other LA, app development companies, and who's going to ignore that message? This is like really close to home, right? So we've sliced it to our neighborhood. So this may mean state, it may mean county, it may be city, it may be, Brooklyn if you're in a large metropolitan area. Either way, if you cut it down to location, you're going to have a little bit easier time starting conversation with those HR managers. Yes. Okay. So 2 more ideas here. I'm going to say option 2. And again, you don't need to combine these, but you may want to search for, of the existing people, who do you have a meaningful second-degree connection to on LinkedIn? I say meaningful so that you can actually drop a name and it matters to you. It's not a random person, but you could do this by plugging in people to Sales Navigator and just
that
like
connected the two of you.
yeah, pretty much. We've played around with building LinkedIn scrapers. It's actually not too tough to do. What is it? Like a simple request to a Sales Nav report and scrape common connections.
Nice.
It's a little annoying for sure, but this can be done. And if there's like some people that actually matter, I've found that mentioning a specific person works like gangbusters when it's available. Last tip, and you can combine or do this one-off, just like the geography and the secondary connection, but I like to see who's new to the role. I find that if you are an HR manager within 6 months, you're more open to outside help, especially because a lot of new roles, you're drowning the first couple months and you want to do a good job, put your best self forward. You're more open to fresh ideas. So I may say, great, take this list of, 1,000 or whatever, slice it further. Let's only talk to HR managers that have been at the company less than a year, and Sales Nav has this data for you. It's just a matter of extracting it. And then you've got a much smarter place to start on that list, as opposed to sort it by name, start with the Jacks and go from there.
Yeah, don't and with the Jeremys, of course. They are the tough cookies.
You got to watch out for those. Yeah. No, that's it. So what do you think, Jeremy?
No, I think it makes super sense. My question that comes to me, and it's almost random, but it's definitely connected. Let's say, for example, you contact 200 people every day, right? And then, so after a week, you got, 1,000 people has been contacted. Now, let's say after 3 weeks, you went through all those, super, like that super list. So what that means is that from now on, everything will go down in terms of the quality, in terms of the deal size, instead of the likelihood to reply and all those sort of things. So my question to you would be, at what point do you think, not throwing the towel and saying like, we need a new list, but at what point do you say like, it's still going to be okay? Because the other thing is, if you're only starting, in cold outreach, then you're going to sort of like potentially burn your best leads straight away because you haven't quite figured out, what are the good call to action, what is the, the message that will resonate and so on. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? What would you think?
Well, if I'm paid for performance as a salesperson, let's say I'm not, but I am, it is important to not waste my time with dead-end prospects. Nobody wants to do that. So I think there's two answers to this. One, 200 people contacted a day is very fast. That's only from campaigns.
Whatever the number is, you're right.
Full stop. So I still would feel more comfortable, even if I'm brand new to this, is reaching out to an HR manager down the street from me, and honestly using that really good list, a neighbor that has an awesome case study that of a company we both know. The copy could be average, and I'm still going to get a reply, probably positive. I'm barking up the wrong pain point, and I can learn a lot of stuff with the calls. So chill with the volume until you've got something figured out nicely, and use we could call it low-hanging fruit, but it's just like use the stacked deck in your favor to get easy replies at first, especially if you don't know a lot of stuff. The only exception would be if you were still super unsure about your close rate, about your pitch, your deck, whatever, maybe invert the potential deal size. So you're burning the little people before you ramp it up. That's a nice caveat. Don't get into this list until your message and close rate, all that stuff is in place. We should mention course.quickmail.io at this point. There's a lot more stuff there. If you want to nerd out further on this conversation, it's our masterclass. But okay, so did I answer both of those questions?
Yeah, I was about to say that's a wrap. I think we should leave it here. It's like not mic drop because my one is attached, but plus it's you who did it. So yeah, thanks.
Okay,
Jack.
Thank you. I could just push my mic off my standing desk at this point and buy another one, right? All right. Thanks, Jeremy. That was fun for what's the word? Just allowing me to nerd out on this prospect prioritization. I'm just like finding how much easier sales gets when you can just be like, all right, I know most of the cold leads, cold prospects. Look, they may not need Jack and SalesBid right now, but like turn it on its head so that you only really got to worry about a few people at a given time. And that's like been very fun. So I encourage you're listening, try and apply this to your outreach efforts. It is a lot of fun.
Love it. And like Jack said, if you want more, just go to course.quickmail.io and make yourself a favor.
Cool. All right, Jeremy. See you next time.
See you
Feel
next
better.
time. Thanks, Jack.